the FGC podcast. You're listening to Slug
and Turk.
Oh, hello, Turk.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy that we're doing this.
Yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about it myself.
I got the little butterflies in the tummy, but I'm also really pumped. You know, I like to perform, even though I don't get the opportunity often. I think this is going to be a great outlet. Plus, I love talking to you.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous too. I've got some a little bit of anxiety, but I mean, I'm always looking forward to an opportunity to speak with you. It's great that we can schedule some time and just talk about stuff.
Well, certainly, you have a very interesting job. You have a very busy life. I'm a bum. I do nothing. So if we're sitting here nervous, why are we nervous? What are we doing today? What are we doing here?
So this is, I'm kind of taking a little bit of inspo. Well, first off, I've been working on this thing for a little while now. It's called Fat Guy Certified. And it's just kind of just like a little passion project that started in like the big brain idea world in high school, where well, I'll get into more detail about that a little bit later, but just this concept that I had of the phrase I always used was Fat Guy Certified, but I'm really utilizing this as an opportunity to just talk with you and catch up and kind of share our worldview that we might have. It's a little unique. It's a little different than what people might experience.
Really? And is there something that separates you and I from the rest of the world?
Yeah, we're fat.
Is there something else that separates myself from you?
Yeah, you can't walk.
Yeah, that's true. I cannot walk. It's not because I don't want to walk. It's just I'm really lazy. And I found out at a young age, if I just lay there, people carry you. That's a lie. One time, I swear to you, I asked my dad, "Hey, Dad, if I'm able to get up out of this wheelchair and walk across the stage at graduation, how happy will you be?" And he's like, "I'll put you back in that chair if you get out of it and start walking around. If I carried you around for all these years for no reason." So if there's ever a genie situation or a miracle, never telling him that I can get out of this chair.
I do want to say I noticed that you censored yourself a little bit there. I'm going to go ahead and just make the rule now that you can certainly cuss up a storm. I think that if we're really trying to share our worldview and demonstrate our most authentic selves, we swear a lot.
Yeah, I try not to. In a professional setting, I'm really good. But when I'm talking to you or a friend, it just fucking comes out. And right there, that wasn't a natural one. Although my mother will probably think that I just swear as soon as I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I do, but it's not always that bad.
Yeah. Okay,
and if we have to censor ourselves later, that's what fun noises are for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rekindling my passion of audio production. I was a broadcast major in college, so I got to mess around a lot with Adobe Audition, and just kind of getting everything prepared for that has been definitely a big learning moment in trying to figure out what a multi-track view is, because it's completely different than when I worked in it in college.
Okay, yeah. You know what? And sorry, I went on the side tangent, but you're right. We're both big guys. I'm a little bigger and wider because of the wheelchair. So where did you come up with FGC?
So FGC started around high school. I think this is a funny story. It's going to definitely be an overshare for the greater population.
My life is going to be an overshare here, baby. I'm going to share everything.
That's true. So a lot of people might not know this, especially if you're not like a fat person, but pooping is highly uncomfortable in public places in most cases, because you don't necessarily know what you're getting into. For example, my fiance's house is literally, in my opinion, designed as like a Hobbit house. They're all under like 5'8", and everything in their house is tiny. And so like when I sit down and go poop, my knees touch their shower. Like they have like one of those enclosed showers with the sliding door. When I sit down to poop, my knees touch the shower. And I'm not like a super tall guy. I'm only like 6'1", but still my knees right there. So,
her clan is short. I've seen them all, love them all. They're tiny folk.
Yeah, they're hobbits. So like when I go over there, and like you got like a hobbit bathroom, and this started in high school. My buddy Adam, one of my best friends to this day, he has his bathroom was not small by any means, but their toilet was between two walls. So when you sat down, there was a wall to your right, a wall to your left, and then the sink directly in front of you. So, you know, big man, tiny space, trying to get my hand behind myself or in between my legs to take care of business, you know? It's uncomfortable.
You gotta be clean. You're not just gonna shake it off like an animal.
Yeah, and bidets. I mean, we'll get into bidets. The greatest technology in the world of man.
In some opinions,
no, 100% the best, and I will fight this battle to the day I die. But yeah, Adam's house. Wall to the left, wall to the right, sink directly in front. Toilet super low to the ground. So like I was in a natural squatty potty, you know, because it was so low. So it just wasn't comfortable. My mother had some mobility issues, so our toilet at home was like 6 feet off the ground. You know, it was like a throne. So
get a step stool.
So I would skip school all the time if I had to poop and go home. If I was like at Adam's house, I'd be like, sorry, man, I got to go home. You're like, why? I'm like, I gotta go take a shit. And he's like, no, that's dumb. Why don't you just poop here? I'm like, it's so uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'm going to rip your toilet seat off with my big ass cheeks, like all of this stuff. So it's just uncomfortable. So the phrase fat guy certified stemmed from that, where I would be like, we would go into a public place and I'd go into the bathroom and just like walk out and just like, oh yeah, that's not FGC. And so like my core group of friends would kind of slowly learn that like, and to be fair, I'm trying to think, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody in my friend group in high school and college, but no one was fat until I met you. You know what I mean? Everyone was,
hey man, it's okay.
Everyone was smaller. So, really their worldview on like what it was like to be a fat dude or a fat person in general, just, they didn't have that. So it kind of became a phrase that everyone kind of picked up where, they would go into the bathroom and be like, oh yeah, that's not FGC. And it grew from like just being like toilets to being like chairs. So like folding chairs necessarily. You're a 400-pound dude. You go to sit down, you might cause damage. Or like those plastic lawn chairs, you know, you go to sit in one of those, you're breaking a leg and falling flat on your ass. So it kind of just became like a code word of just like, well, yeah, that's not FGC. Or like you might buy like a T-shirt or something like that, and it says that it's a 4X, and you're just like, well, I don't know where the hell this was made, because this is like American Eagle, and I don't even know if they still make clothing anymore. Because I definitely don't buy it if they do. I definitely
and I've never fit into American Eagle.
But like I could buy a button-down shirt 4XL from one store, and then I'd buy an American Eagle 4XL, and it was like I was squeezing into like a 2XL. So there's like no kind of standard, kind of like I know you hear like women's sizes, nothing's ever the same. I in my opinion, like fat guy clothing or fat people clothing in general is like that as well, where there's no consistency, there's no scale.
Like everybody's big and tall is a little different. I still wear some shirts from high school that were 3Xs, and I've gone for up to a 4X, where my dress shirts were like 6X at one time. I think my jacket is 7X, and I still can't button it. Okay, my jacket that I put on when it's wintertime, and I don't often wear it, maybe once a year, my sleeves are 4 feet too long, but I still can't even wrap it around to button it. Now, I know sitting down is a little different, but you're right, every big and tall is different.
Yeah, so it kind of morphed into just like this branding, and like not even like a real brand, but like this thing that like my friend group and my friends around me knew that like if I said that's not FGC or that's not certified. They would know that like somehow in some way, shape, or form that was kind of like negatively impacting, or that was like a negative experience. And FGC kind of morphed from there into well, no, it didn't. I had like this kind of like passion project that I just kind of I picked up on doing, like I was traveling or just doing stuff in like grad school, or even in I think it really started on my big move to Nebraska whenever I got my job here. I was doing a lot of traveling back and forth to Pennsylvania, spent time on the interstate, going to all these different restaurants and stuff. And I always like to take pictures of my food. Just spending time on Instagram, that's just something you kind of pick up on.
Yeah, you're a grammer. Yeah. You're definitely a grammer.
Yeah, and then I found out that Google had this thing where you could review as well, things like review places that ended up on like Google Maps. And I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska by myself for about a year before my fiance moved out here. And
I remember that.
So a lot of time I didn't want to cook. If I was tired of utilizing my meal plan at my job, I would just go order out or go try new restaurants and stuff. So I'd take a lot of photos. Well, Google has this thing where you can upload photos and do reviews. And so I uploaded like 3 photos in like maybe like the same week. And those 3 photos they hit perfectly. So there's a donut shop in Lincoln called Hertz Donuts. And it's a chain. Like I know they have like a franchise. I know they have them all over. But they had these, I went and got a dozen donuts and took a picture of it and uploaded it to the Google review. And so then when people would search Hertz Donuts Lincoln, that photo would populate because it was a recent one. Well, right around that time, I believe, Hertz Donuts did the Tide Pod donut.
Oh, I remember. Was that around the time that the Tide Pod challenge was coming out?
So my timeline might be a little bit screwed up here, but
hey, great marketing campaign. You know what? A bunch of idiots are swallowing Tide Pods. Let's get in on this and make some fun donuts.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was around that time. So people would search Hertz Donuts because Hertz Donuts was kind of in the news for that. And my photo would pop up, so it would get a unique view. And that photo, a photo for a Chinese restaurant near my place called Ming's, and then a burger that I got down in South Lincoln, which is called the Ben Roethlisberger because it's a Pittsburgh Steelers bar here in Lincoln. Go Steelers, well, those 3 photos jumped up in like crazy amount of views. I'm going to actually pull up Google right now to see what they're at. But I think I have over, not because of those 3 views, because those 3 photos, it's taken over quite a little bit. And I've done a ton of these photos. But I'm looking at it right now. Right now, I have 1.3 million unique views on my Google Photos, and my Hertz Donuts photo actually has like 150,000 unique views. And then my burger photo for the Ben Roethlisberger burger has 50,000 views. And that's not even like my top 3. There's a bunch of other ones in there. So I was doing all this traveling and going around and taking photos of my food and uploading it to Google, and it was getting some pretty, like, I don't know. You're getting some views. You're getting some foot traffic. Yeah, and so like this thing on Google is called like the local guide kind of stuff, and I was getting some pretty heavy traffic on there, and it's not like I was getting any renown or anything like that, because you don't know when you type it in, you click the photo, it just pops up with their name. It's not like it's not attached to any form of social media or anything like that. But it was like some positive reinforcement. You get an email every week saying like, here's your contributions. And when I have like donut photos and coffee photos and burger photos that have you like 50,000 unique views, that's like, that's, you get a little bit of a dopamine release, and you're getting that like that.
It's addictive.
Yeah. You get
it's
like addiction.
rewarding.
So like I keep doing it and doing it. And my my Google Drive is just literally gigabytes upon gigabytes of just photos of all these different pictures of food, and they're not good photos by any means. I am a terrible photographer.
You take a picture of everything you eat, everything you see, and maybe you take 10,000 pictures. One of them's a good one.
Yeah, and so I just would upload them, and it just kind of just became this thing. And I would drive from Nebraska to Pennsylvania 2 times a year, and I would just stop at ridiculous places. I would go on conferences to like California, Seattle, all over. So I'd be like, okay, I need to take photos of my food and just uploading them. And that kind of just became like this thing that I always did. My fiance, and then like you guys back at home, when we'd go to sit down at a restaurant, it would just be like, oh no, hold on, don't eat your stuff yet. So like your meals would be present in front of you, and then I'd have to stop all of you, take the photos so that I could upload them to Google.
Yeah, once or twice it was annoying. Anything we make at home, hold on, anything we order out, but you get used to it. You put up with a lot of weird things when you love somebody. I get it.
Yeah, so it was just a lot of that. And I did it, and I had some, like I said, I have over 1 million unique views, and as just like this random weirdo in Lincoln, Nebraska, to me, that has like a million unique views on just some crappy photos that he took of food, I think is pretty cool. And so, and with those photos, you have to put a review. And so you would type in, and I would just kind of talk about like the vibe, the food, the service, and that kind of became like a little passion project where I would just do that on Google contributions. But you don't get anything out of it other than like, there's no like social media or anything attached to it. And I would always do it. And so my fiance, the little marketing genius that she is, or that's the world she kind of lives in, she said, you need to do it and kind of create your brand. And I was like, I don't know, this is just something that I do just like on the side. She's like, no, you could do a YouTube channel. You could do all kinds of stuff. People love it. And that was just like an early stage idea of like what I wanted to do, and what kind of like the game plan was, and just minor little things, and
Yeah.
And she really she lit a fire under my ass and was like, you need to do this, this, and this. And so I made the like one day I was just laying on the couch, and I was just laying down on the couch, and I don't know what I was watching, but I was watching something, and like this dude got comped, like his meal comped, because he was reviewing the place, and I was hungry, and I was like, Gabby's my fiance. I was like, Gabby, I'm gonna fucking make this page, and if I get anything out of this, I just want one place to comp a meal for me because I wrote him a review. You made it. I don't need any notoriety. I don't need anything like that. But like, I just want to build a relationship with an establishment that I think has great food, great service, whatever. I shout them out to my world. And then they just say, here, have a free taco. You know what I mean? Like that to me was fulfillment of like a mission success. And so
that's the best.
Yeah. So that was my idea going into it. And we got up, and I think we went to Heoya, which is a Korean barbecue taco food truck gas station storefront here in Lincoln. And I just went and got it, and I did it, and I ate it, and was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And so that night I kind of worked on stuff, and I think that was the first night I threw up the Fat Guy Certified Facebook, Instagram, and just kind of tossed up some of the backlog of things that I had, and some of my Google contributions that I'd done that had done well. I put on this media,
Fantastic.
And
no, I've been a fan of it. I love it.
Yeah, and I know that like I've incorporated like I just like, and I don't like to do it alone. I like to bring other people and let other people experience it. And Yeah. So, so that's kind of like that, why I
That's
did
where
it.
Fat Guy Certified came from.
That's where it came from. But I know you kind of did something similar, right? You, I don't know what it was called. Was it like Slug's Pizza Tour or something like that?
Yeah, I did. I had my name redacted pizza tour. And also, just with the FGC, I had a very similar parallel before. Growing up with a disability, some things just are different. And so you may have had a hard time taking a shit in a bathroom because you're larger. I also being a large man, not that helped, but being in a wheelchair, you're just not going to take a shit in some bathrooms. You can't even pee in some bathrooms. So, a lot of times, like you said, you'd say, oh, that's not FGC, and your friends picked up on it. Same with me and my family and friends. Go into a bathroom, come right out. Nope, you're not fitting there. This isn't happening today. So I was really pulled into this FGC idea when you brought it up years ago. So I love it. But yeah, I wanted to also kind of just share my experiences with the world. And I want to do that from a younger age. I've had this book idea that a good family friend of mine was like, you have to write a book. And she's like, I don't know why you're not writing it right now. Every day you should just write a little bit because you have so many fun stories to share and you have such a unique outlook. I'm not going to say it's a great outlook or a positive outlook, but it's different. And if there's anything I've learned watching Dr. Phil, different sells money. I just found out, by the way, side tangent. Do you know that stupid ass girl that goes like, catch me outside, that she's actually got this name like Bhad Baby or Barbie?
Yeah, she's a rapper.
And like, get the fuck out of here.
No, man,
oh my God, I almost threw up.
She makes millions rapping.
Almost threw up earlier when I saw this woman on, she's not a woman. I thought she was a woman. And then I found out that she's the girl from Dr. Phil. So she's a child and she was on with David Spade. And I like David Spade, but David Spade's like, yeah, we're friends now. He's just being a little creepy in my opinion. Why you would want to be friends with the girl from Dr. Phil? Beyond me.
Well,
okay.
I mean,
side tangent
I'm not gonna knock her for finding out a way to make millions, Yeah,
you're right.
She somehow took that exposure and ran with it. She did some dumb things. Like I think she got in like fights with like other social media personalities and stuff, and got in some bad drop. Like I think she threw water at like Gwyneth Paltrow or someone. Like I don't know. But whatever team is behind her has really utilized that social media to get some money, and I'm not gonna fault her for that. She might be a crappy human, but
and she's living the dream. She's living someone's dream. And in that aspect, I want to be like her in the fact that I just want to share what I'm doing and maybe somebody wants to listen. So I love food. And after the book idea was in my head for probably a decade, I lost a lot of weight. I was trying to drop out of the Fat Guy Certified life for some health reasons. And, when you're this big, you just break shit all the time. Yeah. So I was trying to slim down and I lost over 100 pounds. But damn, over that year and a half when I didn't eat one carb, I loved pizza. And every day driving to work from my house, and it wasn't that far, drive maybe 8 minutes, I noticed there was like 5 pizza shops that I would pass. And then if I had to go from my work into town to take care of some errands, I'd pass another 7. The city of Erie is not a large city. It's a great starter city. I tell everybody that. Like, if you're trying to get that city life, Erie's a great place to start. You got 3 or 4 minor league sports teams, art museums, you got a theater, you have so many colleges, tons of bars, tons of establishments where you can do hobbies, painting and crafting and just exploring the bay, going to the peninsula. They have a transit system. It's perfect if you're just trying to start off.
And snow. Lots of
snow. Listen, lots of snow. And for that reason, the wheelchair side, come wintertime, they just say, fuck them all. And they just kind of plow over every curb cut, every sidewalk. So it's like a Mad Max frozen wasteland out there. Anyway, I wanted to go on a pizza tour. After going years without pizza, I decided I wanted to try more pizza than just the standard Pizza Hut or Little Caesars. If I was in a city with all these pizza restaurants, I wanted to explore them all. So I made a Facebook group and just kind of vlogged about it. I took pictures, I wrote about it, gave a little bit of a review. I tried to have a certain grading scale. I tried to have like a scoring sheet, if you will. And I had a great time. and I got to eat a lot of great pizza. And, some people in my life were really sharing it. They were liking it, and it felt good. Even though it was only 10 people, if only 15 people looked at it, it was still fun to be able to share that. And so I really, really enjoyed that. And then I let it fall off because you gain a lot of weight whenever you start eating pizza. Yeah. And I planned on only eating 1 or 2 slices at a time, but nobody would go on this pizza tour with me. So it turned into versus the world in pizza instead of me just going for fun. Like I have a very
redacted name.
Yeah, I did. I shared my redacted name. My name is.
I'll bleep that. Whenever I go through in post, I'll bleep it, so that way no one knows. My name? Yeah. Oh, now you're just gonna give me extra work.
Yeah. Okay, that's the last one.
All right. Well, you're a jerk. So I do recall that we went on the pizza tour together. I think I drove back for one of the summer visits, and we went to this restaurant.
Yes, you did.
And we were pleasantly surprised. Where they sat us smelled like urine.
And I think a little diarrhea. I think it was a bad sewage system. It was a bad
smell vibe. Like, there's some ghosts, just lingering around that were. But I have to say, and to this day, one of the best pizza rolls I've ever had.
Yes, those pizza rolls, pizza balls that they served up, those were phenomenal.
For people that might be listening that might not be from the greater Erie, like Western Pennsylvania Erie area, there's these things that like I've not been able to find outside of that area called pizza balls. And they're things of dough with like cheese built into them and like pepperoni. And this place took it to the next level. Well, no, those are pepperoni rolls. This thing was the...
pepperoni balls are good because a pepperoni roll in this household that I'm living in, me and my good friend and his girlfriend, we're all living together, having a great time. But we have this argument, what's the difference between a pizza ball and a pizza roll and a pepperoni roll? I think pepperoni rolls are bread. It's some sort of bread base and it's baked. Whether it's stuffed or folded in, you bake it. I think most pepperoni balls are fried. I think pepperoni balls are like very uniform balls of dough that, like you said, they shove the cheese or pepperoni in it. It's sealed up. It looks very machine made, and I think it's fried.
Interesting. If I had to classify them, I would say that a pepperoni roll is a baked dough with pepperoni or cheese, and then a pizza ball or pizza roll is like that deep fried or baked dough with cheese sauce. I think the unique difference is the cheese and sauce versus really how the
little bit of sauce prepared.
In there. But this, I don't know. I don't even know what the name of the place was. I just know that there were 2 things I remember. It smelled like diarrhea, urine, and we had the best pizza balls that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, they were phenomenal, and they had some extra ones too, didn't they? And they put some toppings on the top, and they had they were really good.
They had like some. Just your basic sauce, but like the butter, garlic, and like Parmesan that they put on top really took it to the next level. It was good. But yeah, that pizza adventure your pizza tour that you went on I was glad that I was able to experience that with you. Something that you touched on that I kind of want to elaborate is
and real quick for the people at home, it was Skippereno's. So shout out to Skippereno's for having a shitty bathroom smell but delicious pepperoni balls.
Yeah, shout out Skippereno's. That's funny. I'm glad that there goes that sponsorship. They're never gonna let us back again.
Skippereno's, it's not my fault that your place smells like shit. I'm just pointing that out. I'm just saying, you don't have to sponsor us if you don't want to, because we're not at this time sponsored by Skippereno's. But you smelled really bad, and you served us one of the best foods we've ever had in our life. So, take the good, take the bad.
That's just a criticism. It's a review show. We're going to review things, and that's what we reviewed, is that it smelled poopy, but the pizza was good. But something that I really wanted to touch on when you're talking about your weight loss and your not carb stuff is something that I think is important, and I'm not glorifying or like trying to glorify being fat is all right, or like I'm not stamping that there. I know that the health problems that come with obesity I've struggled with it my whole life. I've always been bigger. I've always dealt with it. I've always been healthy, living on healthy lifestyle. But I've been really trying to change the way that I think about it, and using Fat Guy Certified to share that worldview, where
Love it.
people aren't necessarily going to know what it's like to be fat, or from your perspective, what it's like to be disabled. And I'm not glorifying my obesity in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not trying to get any sympathy or anything like that. My decisions, my actions kind of have led to my obesity. But this is just an aspect of my life. Regardless, I don't think I'm ever going to be a skinny person. Right now I'm working on my health. I'm trying to get thinner and trying to get in healthy weight, eating healthy, and that kind of stuff. But
hey man, you inspired me.
I'm
You
never
were
gonna be
cutting weight
skinny.
like a motherfucker.
I don't think I'll ever
You
be
did so
some
well.
like toothpick. You know what I mean? So I don't think like if I know like I think of like YouTubers all the time that like were actors that are like really big and then they get typecasted all the time as a fat guy and then they get skinny. And like I'm not saying that we're ever going to reach that level of fame or anything like that. And this is literally just a passion project that I have. But I just the experience and the worldview that I will always have is from that of a big person in a not a tiny world, but in a not designed for fat people world. And
exactly. And so if it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah.
And if not, it's definitely something out there. And guess what? If you're not open to it, you don't have to listen. And if you are open to this and you're just enjoying it for what it is, some fun, light social commentary, and just two guys giving their opinions on stuff, maybe you're a plus size individual and we might help you.
Yeah.
We might actually let you know something that you're like, oh, I'm so glad I knew that before I went out.
Yeah. Or maybe even taking if you have a friend that's kind of, so this is an example recently that kind of just happened. We went on a sort of kind of double date with one of Gabriella's coworkers, and they got there first and they put in their reservation, and they're skinny, not skinny. I don't want to say that they're skinny.
They're smaller.
They're just your average weight human.
Good, I like that.
And so they put in first, and they didn't necessarily think that something that like Gabriella or like our friends have known is that like a booth that is attached to the wall doesn't have the wiggle room for my big ass belly. You know what I mean? So that's just not their worldview. They've never experienced that. So when we got to our table, I immediately looked at the booth and was like, yeah, I'm not squeezing in there. And he felt, and you could see it on his face, he just felt bad. And that's not a feeling that I ever wish upon anybody. You know what I mean? Me, I'm used to it. This is my whole life. It's not a big deal. I just run up and tell him I need a table. All good in the hood. You know what I mean? But for him, that was an experience. So maybe if you just have a friend that you know is bigger, is working on losing their weight or whatever, and you just kind of just want to, you're just being supportive of them, just, you know, take that in consideration. Or like if you know, like we've gone to establishments before, I've really done the work and kind of scoped out and made sure that it's accessible. Because I don't want to ever take you to a place where you or anybody that we're with is uncomfortable or not able to enjoy the same experience. You know what I mean? And I think
100%.
I think that's just something that we as humans just need to just be more aware of and outside. But if you don't have exposure to it, you're not going to know. So there, you've been exposed. Fat people generally like, don't like booths.
Yeah, and you weren't a jerk. You weren't like, I'm not sitting there, not happening because it's against your moral code. Like physically, you want to, but you can't fit.
There's been
like
times,
if it's mounted there, and I've seen skinny people not be able to fit in. Like if you go to Flip Cafe, shout out Flip Cafe, possible future sponsor, but not sponsoring us at this time. It's small, it's crammed.
Yeah,
like even normal sized people. Yeah. Having our good friends with us who are way smaller than us, they're uncomfortable at times. And I can't fit in a booth. Not just fit in a booth, I can't sit in a booth because usually a booth has a leg right at the front end of the table. Yeah. And the chairs, the booths itself, the benches are so close together, my wheelchair legs can't even fit between them. I understand booths, no bueno.
I think.
Oh, well, just rub it in. Rub it in how much you love them.
But I just don't. I just don't like booths that you can't maneuver. You know what I mean?
No, I get
when
you.
They're
you
like
want a little bit of belly room,
or like they've got the pole that's like screwed into the ground. That's just uncomfortable and a little silly. So if I had to say what Fat Guy Certified is and what this podcast is going to be, is it's going to be two best friends who don't spend a lot of time together, are going to be able to kind of just talk about, share their worldview being fat, and also from the lens of a disability. Because that's something when I was doing my reviews that I really focused on, because when you look at reviews on places, you look at like a lot of establishments, accessibility is not, I mean, unless it's an accessibility blog or an accessibility, I don't really think it's ever really accounted for. Do you?
No, you're right. Unless it's somebody who's making it a point to go out there and actually review accessible things. And I found in this journey of wanting to start something like this that there are people out there, but they're not nearly as well known as a Kardashian or anybody else who's an influencer, if you will. It's a weird name, but I mean, if that's what I end up becoming, I'm going to call myself that. I think it's weird. But no, you're right. It's not. And anybody can look at the ADA, slap a little handlebar on a toilet seat or beside a shower and say, boom, we have an accessible room. Look how awesome we are. Pay us. Give us a tax break.
Yeah.
And that's just not it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. We can just shed a little bit more light. If you know that FGC is giving you the accessibility stamp of approval, it's going to be spacious. Chairs are going to be movable. Tables are going to be able to be rearranged. Lots of knee room for your poopers and lots of room to spin around in a bathroom.
Yeah. And I know that, and I've actually, and kind of while I've been doing this, I've had some friends reach out and be like, we know that we're going to get hit on the accessibility thing, but it's either what we were given or right now we don't have the finances to make that kind of accommodation. I think that my goal is to not like, I don't know, like destroy any place or like call them out or like ruin their day. It's just a worldview or just a lens that your average person might not experience. I just want people to think of or to just like, put themselves in those shoes for a little bit,
Yeah. Hey, guess what? If you're not accessible and you're doing great business, then wipe your ass with our opinions and just move on because you don't care. And that's okay. Then you don't need my business. But if you're floundering and you're looking to make some small improvements, well, maybe you could take what we say to heart.
Yeah. So
maybe it can help you.
I think it's time. And now that we kind of explained what Fat Guy Certified is, let's explain who we are. I don't know if we did that backwards or what.
No, it's fine. And like you said, we're just two best friends talking, and a lot of this, after the FGC is said and done, it's a lot of just it's about what we want to talk to each other about. We haven't seen each other in forever. We don't get to see each other because we're good friends. But how did we ever become good friends?
Yeah, I'm going to let you take that one away. I think you've got...
Oh, I'll take this one.
I think you've got a good perspective on our friendship that... basically, I just sum it up as I used you as a chariot, but I would like...
Well, you did, but everybody does at one point. I mean, it's like a great ride. Once you get one turn, you just want to get back in line.
So I'll let you take that one away.
All right. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we went to a great state school in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania.
How could you mistake
that? Is where we first.
How is that something that you can mistake?
It's not that I
spent like 7 years there.
Oh, I spent more than you. I definitely took my time.
That's true.
Not because I'm stupid, but because I'm a procrastinator. What's the best nation? Procrastination.
Yeah, so we met.
It was more sarcastic. It's like the sarcasm part of Edinburgh might not be where great things happen.
Oh, I get it now. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm picking up what you're
I know we met in Edinburgh. I'm just questioning how great that school is.
Oh.
However, you're right. We did meet in Edinburgh, and I remember knowing about the man, the myth, the legend, Turk for probably 2 years before I actually said a word to you. a couple of my good friends, they called them my wives, which is very, I'm sure, sexist and misogynistic, but I was never misogynistic. Just I had 3 really great friends, and they were all women. And they all joined Phi Sigma Pi, the greatest honor fraternity at Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania.
It was something.
And I believe you knew somebody that was also in that fraternity. And so anytime there was a special event or there needed to be a formal situation, one of my friends had an adorable service dog, and you would volunteer to take care of that service dog. So the service dog did not have to go out into this formal setting.
Yeah.
And so they talked about you all the time for being great with the dog.
Sequoia, right?
It was Sequoia, and Sequoia was a great dog and a less than stellar service dog. But you know what?
I loved him. One time, Sequoia, someone eating a sandwich, and Sequoia just picking it out of their hand and eating it.
I'm not talking smack on Sequoia because I really like the dog, and I love my friend. She is one of my greatest friends that I have. I need to talk to her a lot more. But we have a lot of things in common, and I really enjoyed all my time with her. And I think even she would admit that sometimes the dog got out of hand. And, you know, when you're disabled, it's not like you can body the dog. You're not just like, hey, yo, no, stop it, Fido. And you're going to smack him on the head and put him in his place. We're disabled. He's there to help her. All right, he's not going to discipline himself. He's not that dumb. So that's where I always heard how great this guy was that would watch the dog. And then years later, it was time for me to apply to be an RA.
That was really my ploy to always get out of going to formal.
Hey, you know what? I was at a couple of those formals, and I wish I had a better idea to get out of some of them every once in a while. So good on you.
I don't want to go. Let me take care of the dog. I'll just hang out in my room. I'm on duty or whatever. I'll
take the game. You played the game. And you did it well.
Yeah. I hated those formals, so that was my way of getting out of them.
And again, being a big guy, you stand out a little bit in the crowd, so I could always recognize you. And I applied. I got through the first round of group interviews, and then it was time for group process, where they put about 20 or so applicants in a room together in a big classroom, and there was probably like 12 or more RAs and coordinators already there, and they were secretly in charge of evaluating each of us. And I remember
it's a lesson. I still work in higher education, and group process still makes me uncomfortable.
And it's a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, and I also had a career at one point in student affairs and higher education, residence life and housing. It's difficult and it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's more uncomfortable than doing one interview, doing 15 at once in the same room.
Yeah.
So you have this going on, and the instructions were, RAs, I want you to float around the room very secretly. Don't let on who you're observing. I want folks to feel real natural. And so you just plop down right behind me and it's like, I'm looking at you and I'm not moving. So right off the bat, I'm like, I like this guy. This guy's just like, you know what? I'm not putting in the extra effort.
Because this will go public, and maybe my current students or maybe some current coworkers will listen to this. As a resident assistant, there were times where I sucked at my job.
Hey, man, we didn't murder anybody, okay? Statute of limitations don't exist for being a shitty employee.
Yeah.
And you know what? We may not have followed every rule and every bylaw,
there was a lot of
but
maturity that needed to have been had. I was less.
But we never harmed anybody.
Yeah.
We never put anybody in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And we never abused the power.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who cares if you observed me from sitting behind me instead of casually walking on the other side of the room? Because you know what? Like I said, I perform. It doesn't matter if I know you're looking at me or if you're secretly watching me. I'm going to be the same Doug every time. Mm-hmm. I'm just always that guy. So it worked. I got the job. We still didn't get to work a lot together for that first year. But then there's that second year where you got thrown through the loop, where you got a promotion. And then once you got promoted, you weren't allowed to step back. And then you done fucked up and didn't pass a class like you were supposed to.
Yeah.
So you found yourself coming back for that magic one semester.
All right. Yeah.
Listen, I went to Edinburgh, the greatest state school in northwestern Pennsylvania, for a long time. 5 years as an undergrad, got kicked out once, and then 3.5 years as grad student. So I'll put my whole entire life out there for you.
Yeah. So I got a promotion and was supposed to graduate and then failed a class, had to come back. And part of that promotion is that you're not allowed to return to be an RA. And thankfully our supervisor kind of had a backup plan for me. And they were opening up a residence hall that didn't have a lot of PAs. They weren't anticipating having a lot of students, but they were ending up putting a lot more students in there than they expected. And so I wasn't an RA. I was a duty helper.
Exactly. You weren't an RA because, if I'm not mistaken, your floor evaporated within like 4 weeks.
By the second,
you had the overflow.
By the second week of the semester, all my students had moved off the floor. I had no residents whatsoever on my floor. I lived on a floor by myself for my last semester in college.
Exactly. And it wasn't discrimination or anything having just the disabled students in the oldest building on campus. That wasn't the case. It was just that was the only place that was accessible. That's it. So it was literally just four floors divided into 2 buildings. So floor 1, floor 2, tower A, tower B, ROTC, which had about 10 people in it, and the OSD floor, the students with disabilities, which I was in charge of one side and a coworker was on charge of the other side. So there's just 4 of us in a giant bunker that could probably hold like 1,000 students, only looking after like 35 students.
I'll do the math.
And that's where it really bonded us together, because then it was just us versus the world. Our coordinator would barely come check on us. They didn't care. 800 students.
If every room had 2 residents, it would be an 800 student building.
So it's a very large building. We were so underpopulated in that building. Now the rest of the campus was doing fine, but we were just really underpopulated. So that's when we got to do duty. You know, even if it was only supposed to be one of us a night, we were always there together.
Yeah. And
I started that with another good friend of mine that first year when there were supposed to be 3 of us on duty. But if I was on duty, he was always there. And if he was there, somebody else would be there. And then when he was on duty, I would be there and I would bring my cronies. So we really turned that front desk into a very positive, enjoyable area. And I think that's just what bonded it to us.
Building.
It was. And, you know, both of us are, I would say we're social people. We get along with others. We like to talk and have fun. And we just did what we do best. And that's entertain each other.
Yeah.
If other people come, then so be it.
And then we just became really close. And then I graduated. You still had another semester left.
Because I'm a slow bird.
Yeah, you had an extra semester, I think, left. And maybe an extra year. I don't remember.
It was just that semester. Yeah, okay, let's not throw me under the bus like a year. Okay, you got out of there 3 months before me.
Yeah, and then I did that internship. Got out. We both got jobs that sucked. I worked in a mortgage title company. You worked at a bank.
I did some online banking for USAA. Possible future sponsor, but not currently sponsoring us.
Is that going to be your gimmick? Is that going to be your shtick?
I'm not going to say it's a shtick, but I'm just going to say I was told by Gabby, which you already name dropped her, so bleep her if she has some problems at the end. But if we say anybody, we have to make sure that we explicitly say that they're not sponsoring us. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So they are not paying us. I'm just trying to make sure we can go on Spotify. What's up? One day. That's what I'm aiming for. But yes, you're right. And I remember we both applied for grad school at the same time.
Yeah, and we were messaging back and forth and like, this world sucks. Hey, did you get a call? Yeah, I got a call. Did you apply for a grad assistantship? Yeah, I applied for a grad assistantship.
And I remember the one day someone called me a retard. So I'm going to say the word because they called me it. I'm not using that term. Yeah. And I was so mad. I punched myself out for the day. Like I was like, I'm taking a break. And I walked out, got my phone. And there was a message from you that said like, you know, coordinator Turk. Yeah, I bleeped my name again. Slug and Turk reporting for duty. And I was like, yo, tell me there's an email. tell me you got an email or I got an email or letter and I didn't know about it. And you're like, no. Because if I would have got accepted that day, I would have quit on the spot. It would have been a baller moment in my life. But it wasn't. Yeah. And then 3 weeks later, we both got the acceptance. We both passed our interviews and we started grad school together. And that was even tighter for us because we lived in close proximity right across the building. We were on a dyad together. We were on that team. And it just worked.
Yeah, we'd basically eat every meal together. Because we had your partner. I didn't have a building partner my first semester. You
didn't have one the second semester, did you?
I did. Mia Marshall ended up being my partner.
Mia slid in that second semester?
Yeah. She applied for grad school because she had like extra semester too, I believe.
That's right. Yo, shout out Mia. I love you.
Yeah, she was a great partner. I love her to death. She has a podcast that she does with some other Edinburgh girls. I think Janita's in it too.
Janita.
And it's I think it's Mia Marshall Girls Around the World or something like that. It's dope. I
didn't know it. I'm going to be following now because Mia Marshall got the best laugh in the world. You can hear her from 3 acres away. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, they're running stuff in Pittsburgh right now. It's pretty dope. But she was my partner, and we basically just ate every meal together, and I think that was really where we became inseparable. So for honest to God, like the next 3 years, I don't think there was a day where I didn't spend with you. Like even that third year where I was no longer what did they call them at Edinburgh?
Graduate Hall GHC. Coordinators.
Even when I was no longer GHC, and I was doing like internship stuff, and I lived in like a townhouse with that was a whole other world.
We'll get to it in the future, baby.
I lived in that townhouse. I would just sleep there and spend my whole day in that chair in your apartment.
Turk had his own setup. At one point, I feel like I even had a work function, and he kind of put up like a mental sheet, like a little barricade, where he would just sit up against the wall in a nice comfy chair, and he had his own television on a small stool right beside my TV. Yeah. Yep. So he would just sit there and play games and hang out all day, even when he wasn't going to school.
Destiny 1.
Oh, I remember watching you play a lot of Destiny.
Yeah. You had your own TV and everything set up. I had my own sitting right there, and I just played Destiny all the time. Grad school, internship, Destiny. That was my life for almost a whole year, and I wasn't good at Destiny, so
I'm never good at any of the games I play, but I just love playing them.
But yeah, that was like our friendship. There's not a lot of people that I think really that know me quite like you. I think
oh, that's so sweet.
I mean, I think grad school and going through the counseling program together, and just some of the trials and tribulations that I had during grad school. I think that was just I think that is where we've bonded, and I think our souls touched.
Hey man, that's what it is. You are my HLP. You are my heterosexual life partner.
For sure.
No matter where you go in life, I'm gonna be following behind you.
Yeah, and that's such a highlight. I think while we're talking about Edinburgh, I think we should kind of, I don't know, give like not a teaser, but kind of explain like what we're gonna do with the podcast, and then kind of let them start wrapping it up to that. Yeah, I think like wrapping up, and then kind of just letting like the 4 people that are gonna listen know.
Shout out to all 4 of you.
Yeah, shout out to you. Probably gonna be my mom. We love you, but let them kind of know what we're gonna do. And I think what would make sense is, so basically what the podcast is going to be each week is going to be Slug and I are kind of just do a little mini catch up, how things are going, because we're really utilizing this to just spend time with each other.
100%.
Then we're going to move into doing some reviews. We're going to kind of focus on we're either going to review a restaurant, or we're going to review a product. Like we might go
maybe a folding chair
some,
one
like,
week
shirts from like JCPenney, non-sponsor,
shirt
or something like that, and just and then we'll try it on and be like, well, that sucked. I'd rip that in a week. Or like, wow, this is actually true to size and didn't shrink into a baby shirt within like one wash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got it.
So that's kind of like so that's a part of the conversation that'll happen each week, where we'll go over a restaurant or something like that, and then we'll just kind of maybe like tell you a story, just kind of give you like a little bit, just an antidote from is that the right word? I don't think that's the right word.
Yeah, why not?
I'm gonna make that the right word. Just maybe like tell you a story that could be fat guy focused. It could just be life focused. I know Slug really wants me to tell him why I had a DM conversation on Twitter today with Frank Caliendo.
Yeah. So before we go anywhere, what the hell's up with that?
I mean, we're running out of time.
I don't care. Frank Caliendo messaged you.
So
what's up?
So I'm an avid listener to the Pat McAfee show. Okay,
you made me listen to some of him, and I know him from WWE, and I know him obviously as a punter for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, he was a holder and then punter for the Colts.
Oh, okay.
And
I did not know that.
He's just I'm just a huge fan, and on the show today they were talking about Twitter, and Frank Caliendo was a guest, and he's talking about like how he's utilizing social media now, and he said that he made the mistake and left his DMs open, and Pat and like his guys are all just like, no, you need to close those right now. So I immediately pulled up Twitter, and
fired one
off. And I was like, you need to shut this down now, broski. And he just kind of, I mean, it was one message. It wasn't a full blown conversation, but he DM'd me back and was just like, ha 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 ha. And just, that was kind of it. But like,
hey man, I've been trying to slide into people's DMs for a while now. Shout out Jordan Grace, TNA women wrestler. However, I've never gotten a shout back. So that's one
verified.
For you, zero
I'm
for
gonna
Slug.
Claim it. I'm going to say that we're friends. I think that's like how this works, right?
Right, and by the way, an antecedent is a noun. It is a thing or event that existed before or logically precedes another, so sure. Or it could be an adjective, preceding in time or order, previous or pre-existing.
I don't think that's the word I used, like, but...
But I keep looking up antidote, and it's not giving me one.
But...
And you obviously don't mean an antitoxin for poison.
And I'm going to apologize now if this is getting picked up, but my job, I live in a residence hall. And I've got about 200 students that live around me. And it seems like right now they're having a party outside my door. I don't know what's going on. I don't necessarily know if there's an emergency.
No, it's all right. And maybe there is. If it is, we got to go. By the way, you're right. Antidote. My bad, because you're the smart one that reads, and I'm the idiot who just talks a lot and has verbal diarrhea. A short or amusing or interesting story about a real incident or person.
Perfect.
Oh Lord, are we going to have so many antidotes?
So I did in
this podcast,
antidote, which is like a cure
you
for
did,
poison,
which is what threw me off. So I was trying to Google antidote.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Using that master's degree in counseling.
And actually, Google correct. It is. Anecdote, not antidote. So it's an anecdote. Man. So I just love. I know about four friends. Mm-hmm. I know 4 friends and one mother, mine, who's just gonna be so pissed and embarrassed, and they're gonna say that same thing. Good job with that master's degree, and they're gonna say it just like that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not perfect, and I'm kind of an idiot. But that doesn't mean that I'm not good at what I do.
I don't have a spell check like a real life spell check. That would be dope. But I don't have it, so you're just gonna have to deal with me using the wrong.
It's called my roommate.
There you go. So yeah, so each week we're gonna do a check-in, talk about stuff. We're gonna review something. We're gonna tell you a story, or just kind of just share about something. Maybe kind of like
anecdote.
Yeah, there you go. Kind of like maybe that experience where I had with like the booth and just needing to get a table, and to just kind of give you an experience about like what it's like being a fat person. And then just we'll wrap up with some final thoughts. I think it makes sense, and we are 2 humans that spent a majority, I'm not going to say all of, I think it's a good chunk of our lives in a town of like 3,000 people.
Even smaller for me, but you're right. I mean, Edinburgh is the 3,000 people, but before that, such a small town.
But I think since we spent such a large majority of our time there, I think that we should start reviewing those places that we would spend so much time at. Restaurants that we would skip class to go to, or restaurants that we would go spend way too much money at in the evenings and then not go to class the next day.
Oh yeah, I believe we did frequent a few watering holes once or twice.
Yeah, so I think it's only fair that we kind of start, and I think the majority of our early listeners are going to be people that are going to identify or familiarize themselves with those locations, so it'll benefit them as well.
I think that is the perfect idea. I think that's the perfect wrapping up point and finishing up here. I couldn't have done it better myself.
All right. Well, we don't have any official sign-offs, so I can't say I don't have a tagline. I don't think Slug has a tagline.
You think I don't have a tagline?
No, you got a tagline? I would just say
stay fat, America. Boom.
Stay fat, America. Okay. Don't stay fat.
I workshopped it. And I don't like that one. I'm just saying, You said I didn't have one. And because I wanted to prove to you that I could create something off the top of my head.
Yeah.
How about this for today? It was great talking to you, Turk. And for anybody, whether it's the one person out there who can't sleep, or if this makes its way out halfway across the country. I mean, technically, you're already halfway across the country. Thanks for listening. And I hope you want to tune in next time, because we're going to have some fun things to talk about.
Yeah. Do you want to... Are you picking where we're going next?
You mean on vacation, or what the next podcast is going to be about?
The next establishment, like what we'll review next week. I mean, on our producer notes, we have something.
And I think that that's a great one. So we'll give you a little tease. If you've ever been in the northwestern part of Pennsylvania in a sleepy little town called Edinburgh, you may have passed the empty keg.